All right, and we're live. Hello, hello,
Yay.
hello. Hi, Danny. Danny's waiting already, I see.
Hello, Danny.
Hi. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to come in. I know, I'm just loving these admin interviews. I can't tell you. It's really been fun. And I've learned something new about every single one. So that's your cue. You have to teach me something new about you.
Oh, I'm a complicated mess. You know this. Hello, Christiana.
Hi, Christiana. Before video starts, yay! Oh no, yay. Before video starts. Does that mean she can't see us yet? Or it's probably delayed? Hold on, let's see if I can find us.
Hi, Jolene.
Hi, Sherry. Hi, TLC. Let's see. Are we showing up? Oh, yes, we are. Oh, good.
Yeah, I actually got a notification this time. You know, when I'm on the camera, I get a notification.
How did that happen? YouTube has been so bad with that. But hopefully. All right, I'm going to put this over here because the fan is making it go crazy. Hello.
You quit giving me notifications for your videos ages ago, and then suddenly now.
I know, and it doesn't matter what you do. Like, I've told people to unsubscribe and subscribe again. That doesn't help. Nothing works. So, I don't know. If you're not getting notifications, email YouTube.
I'm sorry. Complain to YouTube.
Right.
Tell them to make the notification bell work.
I know it hasn't worked for
Hi, Steven. Hi, Sonia.
Now, I was going to look and see, make sure that I haven't hit 7,000 yet. I don't think I have, but was going to look and see. Oh, be quiet. No. Ew. No.
Oh, the reward.
Hold on. Nope.
Hi, Sherry. Thank you for the subscribe.
Yay, yes. Lynne does have a channel, and I have to say, it's one of my favorite channels. I love her channel because it's not what you get with everybody else. I love that you do things so differently, and you have some of your practices are so different, and love it. All right, so let's see. How long have we been on? A couple minutes. All right, let's start. This is Lynne. She, wow, you've been an admin for
over a year.
Yeah, it's definitely been over a year. I'm trying to think. God, when did you come on? It was. Wow, I have to try to look back. It was like Yule time. Was it Yule time when Hexen came on?
Yep.
So it's been.
It was right around Yule time.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Holy crap! It goes way too fast.
Right? Because right around Yule time last year, I was remarking to you guys that it had been in the admin chat that it had been a year since I had really gotten involved in the community with you guys.
Oh my goodness. It goes so fast. It's how my little witches are growing up.
In fact, the previous Yule had been the very first time I'd ever gone live on YouTube.
Wow. Holy moly. Christiana says, I know you became an admin right after I found this channel. Really? Oh my goodness. I know we have some people that have been with us for quite a while. So, yay. So she's been with us for a long time. She's probably, let's see, I'm trying to think who was admin when you came on. Ange, I think, was already there. And I can't remember. You and Hexen, I think, came on close to the same time.
But Hexen, I think, was before me.
Was he? It wasn't too much before you, I don't think. It was pretty close to the same time.
Hi, Hexen, by the way. I see you in the chat.
Yay, Hexen. Oh, good. He made it on early, unless he's probably at work still, because he's got to work for a little while still. But
yeah.
All right. So she's been with us for a very long time now. Let's start with, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us, I don't know, a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Mama Squirrel's admin channel. And
let's see here. Hi, my name is Lynne, and I'm a pagan and a witch, and have been so for 13 years at this point. And I found this lovely channel because I found the lovely person on the screen next to me talking about thrifty beginner witch stuff. Have been subscribed, and then found out she did tarot lives and started watching them, and then eventually found out you had a Facebook group, which it was like, oh, pagans who I can talk to. Yay!
I know, I'm trying to think. Facebook, I think, reminds me sometimes how old the group is, but I did not have a Facebook group for our group at first. Like the squirrels is who decided we should have one, and I was like, I don't know. You think anybody's going to want to be involved in a Facebook group?
Yes.
Yeah. And here we are. Gosh, I just can't believe it goes so fast. But So yes, yay. So Leland's been with us for a while. All right. So let's start with describe your path. Describe your spiritual path from childhood until now. What led you to the point where you're at now?
That's a long, complicated story because I grew up Christian. I grew up evangelical Christian and was very deep into it, believed it heavily, was not a good person. I regret many things from that period.
Was not a good person. Stop it. That's all subjective.
No, when you literally tell your gay friend that they're going to hell, that's not subjective.
Well, I still don't blame you because you grew up in a church that believes that, unfortunately.
Exactly. And yes, a large part of that is on the church, and a large part of that is on me for being that kind of person. But from that, got to junior, senior year of high school, met a new group of friends. These friends were a little different. They were a little more diverse in every conceivable way. They were different races, they were different religions, they were different sexualities, and they weren't judgmental people. They weren't going to push at you that you had to accept who they were or because they said so. They were going to sit there and talk to you calmly. They were going to sit there and reason it out with you, and when you couldn't understand, let it go and let you ruminate, and then do it again and again. This took about a year of this kind of talking me down and making me think and making me use critical thinking skills that the church didn't make me use.
Funny how that works. Like the church doesn't want you to use your brain. Or
no, they don't. They want you to turn it off.
Don't want you to use your brain. Not all churches, but some churches, evangelical especially.
I will specify it to the evangelical churches that I came out of, even if I could point at several other sects of Christianity and say they do it as well. Mm-hmm. So then I kind of transitioned into atheism, agnosticism. Basically, didn't know if there was a God, didn't think there was, didn't care. Needed to get some base in reality first. Needed to sort of base myself in what was around me first. Mm-hmm. So that lasted about 2 years. Then Wicca catches my attention. And Wicca catches my attention because this is the beginning of online forums becoming very popular, and people, because I will clarify for the for those who don't know how old I am 30 years old, and this was the early to mid 2000s that this was happening.
You're a baby still.
So this was sort of pagan chat rooms are getting really massive. They're getting a lot of attention, and they're really easy to find now. So they're starting to kind of get a bit of attention from regular people, and particularly from evangelical Christians who I'm surrounded by to this day. So I proceed to explore Wicca and find that connecting to nature works. Connecting to this sense that there's something more, but it doesn't have to be a patriarchal deity works. So then I go through Wicca for 6-7 years, actually, before sliding sort of sideways into paganism and actually sort of going, okay, so individual gods can be a thing within this more pantheistic idea, and getting more of these words to describe what I was actually believing. And that's sort of where the transition from Wicca to paganism was that I started finding the words to describe what I believed.
Nice.
So I started finding words like pantheist, like animist, is that I was able to actually understand what they meant. So I was able to be like, oh, I'm not a Wiccan, I'm a pagan.
Right. And that's, I think most people, at least, maybe not today, but most people back then, their introduction was through Wicca, because that's, there wasn't really a whole lot of, at least out in public, there wasn't a whole lot of other groups that were talking about nature-based anything.
No, it was mostly Wicca. And having been in the Christian world at the time, they were terrified of Wicca. They were terrified that Wicca and witches were going to come and take everything over, and they were the servants of the devil, and everything was going to be awful, and
Yeah, absolutely.
And now it's sort of reached to the point where it's like, okay, I am solid in my path, and I know that I'm a witch, that I'm a pagan, that the witch deities I feel like following, and which ones will work with me, where I know what kind of witchcraft I'm interested in.
Yep, absolutely. So that brought you to what you are today, which, how would you describe your current path? What practices define that path? Well, how do you describe, your spiritual path now?
So now it's a bit of chaos, this magic, a bit of working with fairies and fae, some deity work, some shadow work. Definitely some kitchen witchcraft.
So it's a bit of a whole bunch of different stuff.
It's a bit of eclectic.
That's good. That's how I describe myself too. It's whatever I feel like at the moment.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Specific practices that you would say, like, if someone said, well, what do you do for your religion? What defines that for you? What do you have practices that you say, oh, well, this is what I do on a regular basis? Do you have rituals? Do you
Actually, I don't base it in practices. The practices to me are ways that I execute the base belief. But to me, the base belief is just there. The connection to nature isn't something I need to... The connection to the universe isn't something I need to do a ritual to feel. It's just always there in the background. When I do a ritual or I do a spell, it's stronger and yes, there are daily practices that I do, but I don't do them because I want to, because I need them to stay connected. I do them because I want to be in that connection.
Perfect. And so a lot of people are not going to know what chaos magic is. The chaos part of your religion. Describe that for us.
So chaos magic is, honestly, I'm not that good at explaining it, but I would direct you over to Kellyanne Maddox for a good explanation. But it's basically, you can take an idea and break it down and then form your rules. Explore what you believe the universe to be. So it is a lot of sit down and meditate and connect, feel it out, because two people who practice chaos magic are not necessarily going to have the same rules.
Right.
And so you kind of end up having to create it from the ground up, where you have to sort of go down all of the philosophical routes. Which, do I believe that there are other beings that are deities? Do I, or not? Am I more pantheistic or polytheistic? Chaos magic also uses sigils a lot. And again, chaos magic is really, really, really eclectic. It is. It is chaos. It is this idea of like taking a little bit of everything and turning it into something.
And from what I understood, I could be wrong because I'm not really well read on chaos magic, but it also basically says that you can gain your, you can use the things that that the universe kind of puts in your path that is not what you expected to increase your power here, and use that unexpectedness to help fuel what you're doing.
Yes. And that's sort of part of the chaos, is you not expecting it all the time. Sometimes you're looking for a connection to deity, and instead you end up with a new companion or guardian or guide. And you're going, but that wasn't the answer I was, okay, fine, I'm going with it.
Okay, I will accept that.
Okay, universe, I hear you.
Because that's a lot of living in the present moment kind of stuff, accepting what is instead of trying to change and manipulate the energy that you're left with. It's using what's there.
Yes.
Nice. So just as an aside, Lynne's channel should be listed down below. Hopefully it is. So make sure you guys go and subscribe to her channel because it's great.
And yes, Uncle Badger, you are correct that it is a sort of modern folk magic, bringing lots of popular things from different sections of witchcraft into a form of magic that is accessible to the layman, rather than being very ritualistic and stylized. He's done very formal. Well, that is not chaos magic at all. It's very, get your hands in there.
Use what is there.
Yeah.
I love it. What challenges have you experienced on your journey so far?
Oh, let's see. Well, I did go through about a year of, well, actually, pretty much my entire practice is challenges, because it's the universe throwing another existential crisis in my path.
Which, I know that is not something we all want to be thrown challenges all the time, but that means that you have a lot to learn here, and that there's important things for you to be doing.
Yes, and it's like, Okay, literally, my path is okay. We're gonna like go along this path. We're gonna be learning this. Whoop, we're gonna go off way off to the left and learn that now.
And so going with the flow, which is great.
Yes.
It's
That stay in the moment.
We all need to learn that for sure. Do you have deity work?
Yes. So I've mentioned before, at least on my own channel, that Thor is a thing in my practice. He's my patron deity, and I work with him daily. The thing I use for her sort of devotion to him is actually my workouts that I do every day.
Great.
And then Hecate is
into that.
Yeah. And then Hecate is the main goddess I work with, and I do meditations every day for her, and it's like she sort of is a little bit easier to find than Thor, because he was sort of just tap 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 tap. Hi, I'm here. Come on.
Come with me.
Come with me, little outsider, because I had always been the outsider.
So do you feel like the deity that you work with came to you, or obviously Hecate did? Did Thor just come to you, or did you have to kind of seek him out?
Kind of had to put it out there that I was looking for a god, and then it was sort of follow the breadcrumbs as I got the little synchronicities and little hints, and then eventually he just kind of shows up in a meditation like, hi, I'm here, or come on.
Looking for me. It's me.
You're looking for me.
Have other gods that you had tried to connect to? And I know for me, when I was, when I think I'm supposed to connect to a new deity, sometimes I'm like, oh, it must be this, and I'm trying to connect, and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, it's not you.
Well, for a second there, it might have been Loki, and then because he was because it's like, we're gonna veer this way, which was kind of the moment where Thor's like, nope, I'm here.
That's it. Fine. I guess I have to say it out loud and tell you exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's usually not very subtle, but you're right. I get the impression anyways that Thor is loud when he wants to be, but he feels like he shouldn't have to be.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of the time, Thor tends to have that energy, like, I shouldn't have to yell it at you, but if I have to yell it at you, I will.
So do you have like daily practices, weekly practices, monthly practices that you go through, or is it just as stuff comes up?
It's sort of both, because like I said, I do have the daily meditations for Hecate. I do have the daily workouts for Thor, but the rest of my practice is pretty much as I see fit. And it's as I see fit is usually on a daily basis, because usually it's the little things for me. It's getting my cup of coffee in the morning and just sitting there with it in my hands and doing a spell over my coffee. And no one knows I'm doing a spell, because all they see is me holding a cup of coffee.
Right?
It's picking up a worry stone, and no one knows that I'm casting a protection spell because I have my hematite worry stone in my hand. They just know that I'm messing with something in my hand.
Mm-hmm. Good. And do you so you have daily workouts to Thor. Do you have something that you do in the beginning of it to dedicate that? Do you think about him? Are there things that you're doing during the workout to say this is for Thor?
Well, actually, the thing is, I will walk in the building, say hi to the people at the front desk. As I'm putting my bags up, I'm getting into breathing, meditating, and setting that mindset that, okay, devotion time, turn on music, go do my workout. And then working out is actually pretty meditative for me because it's repetitive motions. So it's pretty easy to stay in that meditative mindset and stay in that place where it's like, okay, devotion time the whole way through.
Nice. Nice. I love it. So tarot, do you do tarot, oracle? What kind of divination stuff do you do?
I do use both tarot and recently oracle decks. I usually use tarot unless I'm getting on with you guys, the other admins, for myself, doing one card pulls, which you can see recordings of on my channel. But also I've used tarot for the purpose of the path working, which is literally meditating on a card. You're pulling one out of the deck, staring at it and meditating until you feel like you've entered the card.
Love path working. And do you find it's funny with me? I know sometimes I think, I don't know how to describe this. Sometimes I think based on what card it is that I'm going to meditate on a specific, let's say you pull the 10 of Wands. Okay, I'm going to meditate on all my burdens and stuff. And sometimes I end up path working with it and has nothing to do with burdens whatsoever.
Yep. And sometimes that's not the message that the card has for you. And for example, the one that I've done the most work with is actually the Magician. And sometimes you go in there thinking you're going to get, and you're like looking at this Magician card thinking you're going to get the pep talk that that you are the magician, that you have the power. And then you get the pep talk that, hey, recognize when other people are the magician and other people are the ones who have all the power.
Oh, yes. I love when you get that veer off. Something new. Do you have a favorite tarot card that when you get a deck, you look at that specific card first?
Let's see here. The Magician, High Priestess, Devil, and Three of Swords.
Nice. And do you have a favorite tarot deck?
Currently, that would either be the Arcana Tarot or the Mystic Fairy Tarot. Neither of which I have with me because they're at my house.
The Mystic Fairy Tarot, that's been like your favorite since I met you.
Yes. It was also the first tarot deck I was able to really connect with and read with, is where I was able to really understand the cards really well.
So do you find, because I know with that deck specifically, that is a deck with a lot of Fae and stuff. So do you find most of the decks that you connect with have a lot of Fae, or can you connect to different styles?
Actually, it's the only deck I have that really is that, besides actually that and Shadowscapes are the only two decks I have that really have a lot of Fae imagery in them. And the other decks I have aren't Fae related at all.
Isn't that funny? Well, I mean, here I am with, 8 million different decks and they're all kind of different, but I do find though, I'm trying to think, the cards that I like to read with kind of have a theme to them usually. I have found out, even though I didn't think that I like to read with like collage decks, because there's lots of different images in them and they kind of look like magazine cutouts sometimes. I actually do. I really connect to a lot of them, are easy for me to read. Yeah. So do you find that, you can connect to a whole bunch of different styles, or do you kind of stick with a similar style?
The style is usually pretty consistent in that it's usually not pip decks. It's usually decks that have characters in them that are acting out the cards. And it's usually decks that sort of depict a little bit of the darker aspects as well. Because that's what I connect to the most is like, oh, I like this.
Yes.
If the art moves me, I'm probably going to be able to understand it.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Sonia, I'm trying to see. She wants an example of a collage deck. I'm trying to see what's in front of me, and of course, let me think. The stretch tarot. That's one. God, I can't think beyond that. But the stretch tarot is one. Yeah, the crow tarot is kind of like that too. Yes, yes, yes. Do you have a stalker card that seems to show up for you a lot?
Not right now, but that probably has to do with the fact that I haven't been doing tarot draws as often as I should be.
Well, let me ask you this then. Now, I know it's been a while since you have found a partner in life kind of thing. Did you have a stalker card before you got into a relationship?
Yeah, I did.
And
The Chariot, actually.
oh, that's funny. Sorry, I had to put that in there. Okay. How many tarot decks do you have currently?
5. I have the Arcana, the Tarot, the Shadowscapes, Mystic Fairy, Antique Anatomy, and Mystical Manga.
5. All the time I've known you, you have 5.
5. Because I swear, out of the admins, I'm the strongest willed when it comes to tarot decks.
You are.
Crystals,
I
not
know.
so much. Tarot decks, yes.
I'm amazed, but yep, you are. That's true. How about, are you able to practice openly, or are you in the broom closet with family or some of your family?
Grandparents sort of halfway in the closet because I don't really discuss it with them, but I don't exactly hide it either. The rest of my family, it's just like, no, don't care.
Now, that's
you can know.
When I met you, some of your family did not approve, right? Am I right?
When it was my dad who really didn't approve. He still doesn't. And it's just that he knows, and there's nothing he can do about it.
And how did your family react when did you have a coming out discussion with them, or did they just kind of suddenly figure it out?
There was sort of a coming out discussion, of sorts. It was sort of years in the making because they'd been watching this sort of descent from Christianity or ascent, whichever direction you want to claim it. The sort of exit from Christianity had been kind of obvious and not well hidden because shared family computers means you're gonna find out what I'm watching.
Right. There's not much hiding with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So basically they ended up just point blank asking if I was an atheist and me going, no, but I don't believe in the Christian God. And my dad having a whole conniption about how I was going to hell, and my mom just being like, okay. And then dad trying to find some way to finesse it that I somehow still believed in God, even though I was like, I specifically don't believe in your God.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say women seem to take that better, but I guess that's, it depends on the woman. Because my father took it just fine. He, whatever, as long as I'm happy, he could care less. But my grandfather did not at all. That was not a good thing. But
no, and then my dad's over here. He grew up Catholic, and I'm going, sweetheart, if you're going to worry about my soul going to hell, and you're Catholic, you didn't baptize me, so I'm not. I'm going to hell anyway.
And I grew up Catholic, and Catholic is one of the most paganized religions there is. I mean, they have goddesses all over the place. They're saints. They have little statues of their deities. The saints. They use incense. They use offerings of blood.
The symbols of their saints, I know.
Yep. Come on. They should pretty much have nothing to say about what we do, for sure.
And yet they do.
Yes, they absolutely do. Do you connect with a specific element?
Let's see here. That would be fire and earth.
And how do you incorporate that with your practice?
So the fire sort of comes in with the fact that most of my spells are your candle-based or burning things in a cauldron. And most of my rituals involve of some kind of fire. But those are more... I find I reserve fire for those more intense workings. The day-to-day stuff tends to be a bit more of the earth, getting outside, putting my feet on the ground, touching the earth, connecting to it directly is more of how I get earth in.
Right. I can see that. Kay wants to know if you read professionally.
No, I don't read professionally. I've only done tarot readings for free on YouTube when the other admins are around. You
could, but you don't. But you could.
But I don't.
But yeah, you don't. Did you have a particular aha moment when your spirituality like hit you like a ton of bricks? You finally figured it out, or was it kind of a gradual coming up?
It was a very gradual sort of progression. It was realizing connection to earth, realizing connection to universe, realizing connection to deity, realizing all of this connects back to the witchcraft. Very gradual, step-by-step process.
Yes. So not all at once. That's good. And I know that you're a crystal person. Do you have particular crystals that you connect with regularly that you use for specific purposes?
Hematite. Lots of it.
And what do you use hematite for?
Well, grounding, protection, also Hecate, because it's all over her altar.
Big one for Hecate, yes. That's true. She loves hematite. I always think part of it is because it's reflective on top of the fact that, it's grounding. She can see herself in it. Just a little. I don't blame her for it, but
I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
If you were the goddess of witchcraft, you might want to look at yourself too.
That's true. Danny wants to know if you could only take 5 items to a desert island for 1 month, what would they be?
So I assume we're talking witchy items.
I would think.
Okay. Hematite worry stone. Tarot deck. Cauldron. Salt.
Salt's a good one. Specific tarot deck, or just grab one?
Just grab a tarot deck. I can live with whichever one I need. You have. And my rune set.
Nice. Do you have a favorite season or Sabbath?
Season is fall. Sabbath is Beltane and Samhain.
I say that too until the next one comes around.
See, but mine don't change. Mine stay Beltane and Samhain.
I do love
Beltane is so very much that fire and warmth and passion, which I very much enjoy. And then Samhain is just New Year's. It's witchy New Year's, all of the things.
I know. Love. It shouldn't be too long, actually, and all that stuff should be out. And I love that you can buy black candles finally again, and at your local stores. And
then it's just like, but I can redecorate all of the altars.
Right. Hello to everyone who came in. So I'm going to ask, before we get to the last two questions, I want to ask about, because I know people will say, how come you didn't ask me about that? Or ask her about that. Demon work. You work with demons, or describe your demon work. Let's
okay,
put it that.
So demons, working with demons, I would describe as, yes, it's working with entities that are not from here. It's working with things that are kind of like the Fae. They're not from here. They're not like us. They don't have our morals. And you kind of have to approach them with a lot of respect and a lot of reservations and all your guard up, because yes, they're tricky little fucks.
Right.
And the thing is, they're also
what
very,
they
very
seem
loyal.
to be appropriate is maybe different than what we deem to be appropriate, because they're
yes, and so they're, again, just like the Fae are not evil. Well, neither are demons. Okay, yes, demons have a different idea of what is right and wrong. Yes, demons tend to have less of a problem with screwing things over, hurting things, causing mayhem and mischief. But they don't think that's wrong. Right. They think that's fun.
Right. They don't.
So yes, you have to be very, very specific when you're dealing with demons. You have to, just like you kind of have to be specific when you're dealing with the Fae, because if you tell the Fae that they're welcome and then you don't specify where they're welcome, well, now your whole house is overrun with them. Kind of the same thing.
Right. Exactly. So Wiley Kylie asked, are they demons or entities? And that it's a good question. I think demon is a word that came from, not from people who deal with them. Like demon is something that somebody called them at some point.
Demon has a lot of connotations in a very Christianized world. Demon has a connotation of fallen angel, thing from hell. And while, yes, some people who work with them will say that they do believe they're working with fallen angels or things from the Christian hell, there is sort of the belief that they are a form of entity. They are not necessarily from hell.
Right. Exactly. That's just a label that someone stuck on them. And
yes. Similarly to, there are actually myths about angels that don't come from the Bible.
Right. Exactly. And, I guess it depends on who originally named them and what, what's in a name kind of thing.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're talking about. Sherry LaFace wants to know how long you've worked with them.
I can give the answer that is more technical, when I actually started considering myself to work with them, which is 5 years. But but the reality is that the one that I work with the most kind of showed up as my imaginary friend when I was a child.
So for a very long time.
Yes.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. I had to ask that because, if they had watched some of the stuff on your channel, they would have been like, how come you didn't say anything about that? Yeah.
That's her big thing.
That's right. We didn't even talk about it. Do you have future stuff going on with your channel? Do you have future plans for your channel or your path? changes or things that you want to focus on?
Definitely want to get back into the channel. Definitely want to get back into all of my content because I do still have more demon content to make, more about working with them. And I do have more content to make about with sort of the way that I approach paganism, in that it's not me practicing in order to connect, who feel connected at all, but that it's me practicing because I want to feel more of that connection. And definitely want to get back into the more political side of my channel as well, because I kind of let it die because politics got overwhelming.
Right. And that's one thing that we should say, because I know on my channel, I try the best I can to leave politics out. And you have a very different approach. You're like, nope, that's part of what I believe. And so that is part of your channel, is the politics aspect of it.
Yes. And that is a sort of a warning that I will give to anyone who goes over to my channel. I try to be very explicit in my titles and my thumbnails when I'm doing something political, so that you know what you're getting into, but I'm not going to shy away from political content. I'm not going to shy away from saying what I believe and what my opinions are, because they are so much a part of what I believe. Right. They are a part of me being a pagan. They are a part of me being a witch, because they are, to me, they are rooted in the belief that we are all part of the same web. We are all part of the divine. At which point things come up like, how can I justify not speaking up about racism if I believe that that these people are the same as me?
Right. Right. Exactly. So I knew we're going to have to go back to the demon thing for a while, because a lot of questions came up. So Stephen said, demon came from the Greek and means godlike, which is true. So that's one of the thing of where it came from. Sonia wanted to know, are you talking about the Fae?
So
do you consider the demons per se that you're working with Fae, or is it just kind of a similar?
Sort of similar, but I wouldn't consider them the same thing.
Right. Kay asked, do you remember what prompted you to work with demons?
Well, namely the fact that one of them was my imaginary friend as a child. And I sort of never got rid of him. Sort of, he was there my whole life. And then when I got to the age where I shouldn't have imaginary friends anymore, he's still kind of hanging around. And then it's like, why are you still here? And that was actually a long process of justifying why I still had an imaginary friend.
Right.
And when I was a Christian, it was actually rationalized that, oh, it's just your guardian angel. Which, of course, not at all.
So funny that I can do that. Yes.
And then when I started getting into the atheism, it's like, okay, why is this thing still around?
I don't believe
it. It's just a figment of your imagination. Of course, it's not a figment of your imagination. It sort of is, because it's not material, and nobody else can really see it. But, like, also not. It's a complicated subject. Right? And then getting into Wicca and paganism, started doing research and realizing what I was actually dealing with, and then sort of just asked point blank, okay, I've assigned labels to you my whole life, from imaginary friend to guardian angel to figment of my imagination. What the hell are you? And then sort of got the answer back of, I'm a demon. Do some research.
Oh. So why do you think did it show up to guide you, to protect you, to fuck with you, to...
A little bit of the protection, a little bit of the guiding, because it was always... I would always see my imaginary friend when I felt like I needed protection, like I needed a guardian, or when I needed to be guided. When I say guided, I mean that I would be sitting there doing research on a topic and then look up, see my imaginary friend, quote unquote, who look down and instinctively flip to a different page, several pages back, and find exactly what I needed.
So quite literally.
Or be walking through the library.
This is the page.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's standing there going, this page, dummy, this page. Or he's going, that book. Or like occasionally it would be that I would look up, because I would see him look up and then just close the book, put it back, get a different book. It's like he was going, no, that book.
Not that one. Not that one. That one.
Yes.
My guides do that sometimes too. Or, sometimes I wonder if they're pushing me off the cliff, just like, okay, I'm done with you. You're going to have to figure it out.
Occasionally that's his thing too. Like, again, does not have the same morality as humans, so we'll sit there and go, okay, I want you to move on with this, so I'm just going to poke at you and annoy you until you do what I asked you to do.
Yes, that's so true. Yes. All right. Okay. Any other questions about demons? I don't want to get off of it. If anybody else has questions about it, we can come back to it. The big kind of final question towards the end that I've been giving everyone is, do you have beginner tips that if you wish you had known when you first started, that you've learned on your journey, that you think, if somebody had been telling me that, if someone had told me this, it would have saved me a lot of hassle or I tried to, whatever.
I think I've maybe beat that horse to death on my own channel, but it's okay to doubt yourself. It's okay to doubt your beliefs, and it is okay to circle back and go, I don't know, where am I going? That way. And be wrong. And end up circling back to where you were at the beginning. And have to go down a totally different path because it turns out that one didn't work at all. It's okay to go, Wicca, and then find out Wicca doesn't work for you at all. It's too structured. It's too fluffy and light and good and not enough shadow for you, and then end up going down a different path. It's okay to go down the Satanist path and go, this is a little weird. I'm not okay with this, and veer back off toward something a little less intense.
And it's okay too for that to be okay for a while, and then suddenly, you know what? This isn't for me anymore. I've grown into something different.
Exactly.
Something different is gonna be what fulfills me.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that you're having a crisis of faith. It doesn't mean that you're not a pagan. It doesn't mean that you're not a witch. It just means you're changing and you're growing, and that's a good thing. So
good. And the thing, you don't have to know everything. Don't be afraid to say,
and even the witches and pagans who've been doing this for decades don't know everything. And if they claim they do, they're lying.
Then run far away and don't listen.
Run the other way. Run as fast as you can. Because if they claim they know it all, they're just as bad as the pastors and priests who claim they have a direct line to God.
Yes. Run far. Lynne asked, have you thought about working with dragons?
Yes. I have. I've reached out to that kind of energy as well, and just kind of found it didn't really work with me. Not that I don't like their energy, but that like they're just like, nah, you got enough.
Yeah, it's okay. It's funny. I too, I've reached out. I've worked with some dragon energy, but it's funny. What I have found is the dragon energy that I end up connecting to is more like protection for my other entities. It's not really for me. It's for the other things that I connect to.
Yeah.
Does not work. No. Yes. All right. So we have reached the end of the interview questions as a whole. I'm trying to think that there was other stuff that I was going to bring up. And of course, now my brain is squirreling. Does anybody else have questions? Is there anything, Leland, that we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
Let's see here. I don't have. Sonia asks again in what my definition of a demon is.
I know it's a hard because I think that word triggers such connotations in everybody's head because it has been drilled into everybody's head. A demon is a bad entity. It's a thing from hell.
Let me clarify. A demon to me is a being that is separate from you, and separate from anything else. That is from not Earth, not our plane. That it tends to align itself with the darker side of things.
Right. Exactly. I like that. Because at least for a lot of us, and it's funny with Hexen and Leland, and I think especially, there's those conversations come up in some of the videos that you and Hexen have done about, working with darker energy and that kind of thing comes up. And people have such preconceived notions about what that means. Yes. And you get some of the quote unquote light workers who, believe in white witchcraft and not,
and light and love and all the time and never touching the dark side of things. And then,
threefold rule.
We tend to end up on the darker side.
Yeah. The threefold rule. A lot of witches believe that any energy that you put out comes back to you threefold. Energy doesn't work that way, but that's just my opinion. That's what I have found.
I do believe in a sort of karmic idea where it's like, yes, if you do things that hurt other people, that is going to eventually work its way back to you. But I don't apply that as the rule of three.
Yes, exactly. And I also don't believe that energy has a dark energy, like, a bad energy and a good energy. It's the good and the bad is within the witch. As what was the movie The Craft? Is that in The Craft?
I think that's in The Craft, yes. But it's like, when I'm working with demons, I'm still working for my greater good, my best interest. I'm still working for the best interest of those who I care about. But I'm still working within the same parameters I would be if I weren't working with demons. It's just that I'm working with beings that I have to be a little more specific with.
Yes. May says that everything can be cured with rose quartz in a bath, people. Yes, that's true. Those people. I have to say that if that works for them, then that's awesome. Good for them. That's just the experiences that I have had. That's not what what worked for me. That's all.
And Hexen, yes, we have to do that video. Demons and daemons and the differences between them.
Yes. That's a good idea. Wiley asked, do you have out-of-body experiences?
Yes, actually.
So
some of them are
do
deliberate astral projection, and some of them are a bit more, I'm just kind of sleeping and then I'm not here anymore.
Right. And suddenly you're off. Yep. Dandelion Light says, every time I've hurt someone, I felt hurt immediately, although I'm empathic, so I don't know how it is for other people. And I guess that's, again, that's something that, to me, that's not dark energy and light energy. That is something different. That is, if your intent is to go out and hurt someone on purpose without having been provoked or anything, that's a different thing. Then I would probably feel hurt too. Because that's how, to me, that's how energy works. You do kind of get what you put out into the universe. I just mean, at least for me anyways, if someone has come after me or my loved ones or whatever and deserves that energy back, I don't have a problem with giving it back to them.
Yep. Also, I have spent, one of the very first things I learned to do in witchcraft was to actively do was to put up shields, to put up barriers, to protect myself so that I didn't absorb all of the negative feelings from everyone around me. Yes. And so I just constantly have those up at this point.
Yes. Which is not easy.
No.
Yes. Why did you start a YouTube channel to begin with? How long have you had your channel?
I've had my channel, I don't remember actually when I made my channel. I think it's been a few years now. Because I know I had it, I think, for like a little over 6 months before getting involved with you guys, actually. So that's...
No, you definitely had it before we met.
I had it before I met you guys, but I'm trying to remember how long before I got involved with the community. I actually started the channel 2-ish years, 2 to 3 years I've been on YouTube. And I started my channel because I wanted to talk back. Because I saw all these amazing witches having these amazing conversations, and I wanted to participate.
Yay! I love it. I love that technology gives us the ability to participate in the conversation. That is awesome. I love that. I did want to say, too, I always forget because I must admit that I am way behind in the TikTok thing. I tried to do it, and I think part of it is I'm so busy too. But Lynne is pretty active in TikTok, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the things. I should have had Lynne's TikTok on there. You'll have to post that in our Facebook group for me.
Okay.
Because
and occasionally I make videos on there about witchcraft, usually to step in and be like, okay, you don't need to tell newbie witches how they should and shouldn't blow out a candle. You don't need to tell a baby witch that they're not allowed to blow out their candle, that they have to snuff it out with their fingers because
or their stuff doesn't
you
work.
think it's going to mess with the energy. That's your belief. You don't need to teach it to them that they have to believe it. You don't need to step in and teach a baby witch how to get really paranoid about having to do it your way, because that's not going to work.
That's right. Absolutely. Shauna
First
says
video was 2 years ago, Book of Shadows. Thank you, Shauna.
Yay. She's so good. All right. Well, this was super fun. I'm just loving, these interviews have been really, really fun. I think everybody is getting to know all my awesome admins. I love that we're asking questions. I think you guys are incredible. I thank you, Lynne, for coming on with us and showing us your heart, which I love, and I know everybody else does too now. I will say, all right, let's see, announcements. Tomorrow, I'll probably come on tomorrow and do some kind of Lunasa video because I feel like we have so much to talk about with Lunasa, and I want to make sure we have enough time, and we're getting closer, and I don't want to be caught unaware again, and suddenly it's on top of us. So tomorrow at some point, I may just, I don't like to not do live videos because I know you guys like to ask questions and stuff, but I may just record a video and upload it about Lunasa. Then Tuesday is Tarot Tuesday. Wednesday will be the next admin spotlight interview with Danny. And then on Friday, we'll have the next admin spotlight interview with Pat. We've got quite a few in like a week's time because I want to make sure we get them all in. And so we'll go from there. So yay. Thank you so much, Lynne. And make sure you guys click that like button before we leave, and have a great night.